Hello, friends. This is Princess Royal here. Still talking about the Western media propaganda, and today specifically, I'll be focusing on the poverty part of it. Their misrepresentation of the whole African continent as being desperately poor and needing help. Um, for people to survive a day. I do see this ad everywhere, and I was like, shake my head. What is wrong with these people? Seems like they couldn't help themselves. They can't help themselves. Can they? You know, it's so rich that the media of so many nations that host a lot of homeless people. I mean, a whole bunch of homeless people living on the subway stations and living on the trains all over the nooks and cranks of the cities in the West. Somehow, looking the other way about those high level of poverty and homelessness in their own continent and countries, and just to talk about rant about Africa non-stop for decades. Homelessness is real. I mean, we're not even talking about the poorest of the poor. There are, of course, there is a lot of the poorest of the poor out here. But there are those are in a pretty good shape. At least they have a roof over their head. I'm talking about the homelessness, and especially the veterans, the military, people who fought, sacrificed their life for this nation in different wars, coming back and not being taken care of. Some of them are out on the street, living on the street, living on the subways. And these are the same people who will tongue lash Africa, who will trash Africa for poverty. Are you serious? You've got to be kidding me. Their hypocrisy is outstanding. New York City is full of homeless people. When I went to Canada, Vancouver, there is a street they call Hastings Street, West and East Hastings Streets. And it happens that the damn street is full of homeless people. And I was shocked. And for some reason, they don't ever talk about these things on their media. But then talk about Africa being very poor. Well, I agree. I admit our government sucks. That is true. But Africans are doing well for themselves. I mean, considering people who have to struggle to raise their children, pay their tuition from kindergarten to college, they don't have any kind of government assistance. They don't have no dang government paying for their rent or giving them food assistance. In most places in Africa, education of any level is not free. And they are still doing this, raising their families on their own, and someone have the audacity to paint the whole continent as being poor. Even the poor in Africa aren't poor because they are doing these things by themselves. They're not getting help from anybody and from any government. So if you have to compare, you know, people that are poor in the West, the Western poor, with African poor, then African poor is actually richer because they are providing for themselves. But the Western poor have like a welfare program where social welfare program where they get a certain level of assistance, and they still talk about Africa being poor. Huh?